The election audit in Maricopa County, Arizona continues, in case you haven't heard, even though it's not scheduled to wrap up until May 14th, and it might go longer. Now, there's already a whole lot to report right now. Cyber Ninjas, the Florida-based company leading the audit, claimed that a court made its security plan public, even though it was intended to be kept from public view. Presiding Judge Daniel Martin rejected an attempt to file the documents under seal because of their sensitive nature. Even the plaintiffs in the case, the Arizona Democratic Party, said that the 7-page security overview should not be made public. Nevertheless, for some reason, Judge Martin ordered them filed by noon on April the 29th, which of course made them a public record right there on the court's website. It's available for anyone to view and/or download. Now, we're trying to figure out why on earth the judge would make the security plan public, even though both Republicans and Democrats agreed it ought to be kept under seal. As I've said in my newsletters at MikeHuckabee.com, I've had questions about this judge, his Democrat connections, and the way that he received the case after the original judge recused himself under unusual circumstances. I'm still looking into this chain of events, as on the surface, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But nothing to tell just yet in that regard. I suppose that after this, if the audit reveals discrepancies in the court count, or the vote count rather, and/or evidence of fraud, Democrats can always say, oh, the security plan was revealed. Some evil Nazi white supremacist Trump supporters could have gotten in there and messed with our sacred ballots. Well, anyway, Arizona Audit Director Ken Bennett gave an exclusive interview to the Gateway Pundit on Friday night, and he offered some encouraging news on several fronts. Now, keep in mind, though, that they won't be releasing any partial results. We're going to have to wait until the report is complete. Still, there's positive news. They've hired another temporary service to help them speed up operations. It's reassuring to know there's no deadline. They can take as much time as they need. And it's also good to know that in this audit, they're not just doing a recount. They're actually looking at factors such as whether or not there were folds in the mail-in ballots and whether ovals were filled in by hand or by a machine. All of these findings will end up going into the final report. Bennett was asked about the attempt by 3 national leftist groups who have petitioned the Justice Department to shut down the audit. He said that, quote, all the things they say are at risk of happening. The ballots being lost or stolen or destroyed, totally ridiculous. We have strong security. The biggest complaint we get every day is people from the media or observers or people trying to get in the building that didn't get their name on a list. We have a very secure situation, end quote. One of the leftist groups who are trying to shut down the audit say they're fighting for free, fair, and accessible elections. Oh, right. Even as they try to stop this attempt to bring transparency to the process. One of my researchers came across a first-hand report online from an Arizona resident about what's going on there. Now, we can't independently confirm, but he says he's been watching this audit story develop for months, and it seems credible. He includes this odd story, and I quote, the County Board of Supervisors had resisted any legislature-run audit with great vigor, but after losing all the court battles and without being requested yet by the legislature, they loaded all of the ballots on a semi-truck and reportedly drove them around while the local news mocked the legislature for not being ready to receive the ballots for audit. Then the ballots were returned to where they were stored. Strange stunt. And the heavy media reporting on it that way definitely seemed more than questionable. We went looking, and sure enough, we found that kind of reporting of the event in which the Republican-led Arizona legislature is depicted as inept. The Arizona resident predicted that based on this stunt, no fraudulent ballots would be found, but the total number of ballots would be fewer than expected. Of course, we'll have to wait and see if his prediction comes true. I would add that now there will be a chain of custody issues in addition to what they've been saying about the bias of the auditors. This is all to instill doubt in the outcome. On the other hand, you'd think that if this driving around stunt fixed the outcome to the Democrats' liking, the pressure to stop the audit would have subsided. But this person says it has increased exponentially. More lawsuits, he says, and now requests from the Democratic Party for the DOJ, Department of Justice, to step in, and even more hyped up media propaganda. Kind of makes me feel like there's quite a bit more dirty laundry in this closet. It just seems like the Democrats are pouring in so much energy to try and stop the audit, and now, with those efforts seemingly failing, to marginalize whatever the audit report contains. It does seem like they must know what the report will already say, and there's only one way to know that. This person, after careful observation of the goings-on, predicts two things. One, that the audit will show that some ballots are missing, and two, that at least one kind of significant issue will be found that will look very bad for Democrats and probably affect more ballots than would be needed to overturn a Biden win. Again, this is just coming from someone who lives there, who's been watching the process very closely, and it's just a prediction. No one can confirm anything one way or the other, at least until the audit is complete. Also, there's no telling what might happen between now and the conclusion of the audit to try and derail it. Though we have no evidence that this judge is complicit in that effort, don't be surprised by any turn in this case. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel below and click the notification bell for more videos. Also, check out our page on Rumble. And if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It's completely free. And if you're in the mood for some great entertainment, check out our second channel, Huckabee's Jukebox. Well, that's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.